So, John, first of all, if you could tell us a little bit about what you do and for how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, okay. The main role is CEO of NGPOD Global. We're a medical device business based in Runcorn, primarily to do with medical safety and prevention of medical accidents in the placement of nasogastric tube. So that's a tube that goes up your nose and into your stomach to provide nutrition, hydration, and medication. We have a single product company. We developed the product from a concept that we got hold of in 2014. It took us best part of 5 years to develop from what was a good idea to a workable solution. And then we did some clinical trials, and we then took it to market immediately hit by COVID. So my role currently is basically the general stewardship, leadership, strategy, investment, management of our investors, leading the team. We are a very small team. There's only 12 of us in the company at the moment. But yeah, my role is pretty much everything that needs to be done when it needs to be done. That's what happens in a small company. So yeah, that's the main role. The second part of my life is as non-exec chairman of Indepth Managed Services, which is an industrial commercial cleaning business. So if you have a building that needs to be cleaned or an environment that needs to be cleaned, that's what Indepth do. That is a different scale altogether. There's 60 people who look after this sort of administration side of the business, so salaried, and then we have about 1,500 individuals who are out there cleaning and providing the service to our clients. So it's very much a people business. So that's really my role there, is really to support the board in delivering the long-term strategy that we spent last year developing.
Where's that business based then, John? Indepth.
That one's based in Warrington, so it's northwest based, but it is a national coverage. So we have contracts everywhere from Aberdeen down to the south coast. Literally everywhere in the country is covered. We have really good IT systems that enable us to have the flexibility to make sure we're manning all of the sites. We do about 55,000 hours of cleaning per week. Wow. For our clients. So it's a fairly significant business. The main thing being it's about people, and if we treat our people well, then we get a great result for clients, and which is pretty normal, I think.
Good, thank you. In a business, who are the people or the person that comes to mind when you think of success?
This is very, very cliche, I'm afraid. One of my sort of heroes in business is Richard Branson.
Okay.
I've read his story, I've watched his story, I follow him on LinkedIn. I'm very interested in what he does, and I think it's just his attitude towards business and his resilience and his never giving up. I think is something to be admired. And I think he's built an amazing group of companies. You don't see the ones that didn't work particularly well, but that's the lesson. Not everything's going to work. So if it doesn't work, stop it, move on. And that's what he's done really, really well. He's focused on the things that have worked, and he's taken risks, and they've paid off. So I think he's quite an inspirational character. He's a bit off the wall sometimes, but I think that's a positive.
And of course, he's very, very keen on making the point that once you set one business up, the basic structure can be applied to different businesses. And of course,
his philosophy is it's about the people. The people that he employs are what makes the business. It's not just him. He can have the ideas, but if he doesn't have the team to execute and the expertise, he's wasting his time, because he's never going to know everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's some great stories about being in board meetings and not really knowing what a P&L is, not understanding how a P&L works. We've all been there. The first time you see a P&L, you look at it and think, what on earth is that?
Yeah.
What does it mean? How do I use it? And that it's quite fascinating how he's turned his what people might term a disability, as in his dyslexia, into something exceptionally positive. And it's clearly not a disability in any way, shape, or form. It's just a different way of being that gives you a totally different thought process, which he's used extremely well.
Absolutely agree. You mentioned COVID and particularly the impact COVID had on the NGPOD business. What sort of business changes did you have to make across both businesses?
Well, one of our key requirements is access to the customer. So, and our customer is the NHS in the UK. We do have distributors globally, but our main customer at the moment is the NHS. When COVID happened, two things really. One is the NHS became exceptionally busy, and the secondly, they closed their doors. Nobody was allowed to visit. So they had no bandwidth to talk to people about new product. They had no bandwidth or thought about improving safety because they were just trying to survive. And they were trying to keep infection out of the hospital. So the chance of us going in to have a discussion with them about improvement in patient safety or efficiency were just not on the cards. So we had to just accept that. So we did two things. One is we refocused the efforts on the global market and started to look for distributors because we knew that there's a registration period. So us having a distributor sign up meant that they had time to register their product in their market and then start selling when COVID finished. So we accelerated our export program, and we've signed eight distributors now. The other thing we did was we changed our philosophy on manufacturing. Initially, we had decided to use UK-based contract manufacturing to make our sensors that go with the NGPOD. We changed that view because we had time. So we built our own factory. So we decided to do our own production in-house. We built a site in Runcorn. So we took a unit on and we fitted out with a 1,000 square foot clean room, and we brought the manufacturing in-house.
Okay.
What that gave us was a reduced lead time for product. So it came down from a 5-month lead time for a sterile sensor to 5 weeks. And the cost came down by about 75%.
Wow.
So it had an incredible impact on our profitability and our gross margins, and it gave us the supply chain flexibility. That supply chain flexibility also means that we can reduce our stock requirement. We were planning to hold three months of finished goods stock. We now, because we can manufacture in 5 weeks, we only need to hold 6 weeks stock, and we can respond to any customer order. So it's had a very positive effect on working capital as well. It was expensive, but we did get an Innovate loan to do that from through Innovate UK. That in itself was an education.
So yeah, so as a team, you really use the opportunity really to challenge yourselves and work in a different way. So
yeah, we could have just sat back and marked time and waited, but that wasn't the approach that we took. You know, we have a responsive investor who knew that supporting the business was the right thing to do. So that's what we did. We invested. We kept the team. We kept everybody employed. We didn't do furlough. We had them occupied building the site and getting organised, ready for when we needed to start again, because we are a medical device. So we were allowed to do that. And the team have been very, very positive and very supportive.
Very positive. What would you say have been some of your biggest learnings in business, John?
I think the first one is always get the facts. You can think something, you can believe something, but actually get the facts, get the data, get the numbers, and prove it before you take action. Now, do it quickly. Don't take forever to do that, and don't go into so much detail that you end up getting bogged down in it. But always have the facts and never deny them. Humans are incredibly good at kidding ourselves, believing what we want to believe. And actually, that's just your brain. You sometimes have to overrule that and base it on factual
Mm.
information rather than what you think or feel. Don't get me wrong, gut instinct is also very important, but if you base it on fact, you're doing pretty well. And I think in addition to that, it's about resilience. I talked about Richard Branson earlier. You just keep going. It's going to be tough. It's going to be the business is not always good fun. It's not always going to go in the right direction. It's going to throw challenges at you. It's going to throw you curveballs, but just keep going. Keep at it. Don't give up. It's one of those things that it doesn't come easily. No, you see people that are very successful, and it can appear that it's been easy and they've had a great idea, but I can guarantee you there's been blood, sweat, and tears behind that. There's no expert out there that hasn't put the hours in to become an expert. So just keep going.
Mm. There's failure being involved in that, and they've learned from the failures. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, learning from your failures, history is a lesson. Don't dwell on it, but learn from it. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that.
Great lessons. Great lessons. And what are the aspirations for the next 5 years?
Just global domination, basically.
Oh, I do like
For
that.
NGPOD, we are at the beginning of the commercialization journey. In 5 years, our strategic forecast says we should be revenues of around 30 to 35 million. With the team will grow from 12 to around 60. We want to conquer America, which is the single largest healthcare market on the planet. It's not the biggest population, but they spend more on healthcare in the US than anywhere else. So we're just in the process of getting regulatory approval. So basically, it is world domination. We want to be in probably 50 countries. We want to be saving lives all around the world, and we want to be making good money while we're doing it. So I'd say that's the next 5 years for NGPOD, and we're very focused on making that happen. And with medtech, it always starts really slowly. It always takes a couple of years to actually get established. But once you've got that momentum starting to build, it actually is very difficult to stop. So we now have 12 customers live in the UK. We have 8 distributors signed. So we're on our way, and we believe fully that we're going to get to that 30 to 35 million in that time frame. For Indepth, we want to triple our business over the next 5 years. It's really simple. We've got a strategy in place. It's ambitious. They're a solid company that have been growing reasonably well. They did well through COVID. Now's the time to capitalize on that. We have the balance sheet that allows us to invest in the future. So yeah, we're looking to build a great team and grow that company to 3 times its current size, which will be close to 50 million.
Wow. So a very related question to that. So both growth stories, and one certainly in the technical sector. How do you see the sort of recruitment and the employment situation in the region and nationally, I suppose?
Yeah, I think for NGPOD, we haven't had a massive issue with recruitment. I think talent is out there. I think it's looking for opportunity to join a business that has a purpose. So we've got a very compelling story. So we've been able to attract some really good people. We've just brought in two new salespeople. They've come from very large companies who are in the same market as us, and they see our product as disrupting, as a game changer. So they've come to us for a package that is similar to what they had before, but with a purpose that is far more significant. So that's not been an issue for us. As far as the production side of it's concerned, we're based in Runcorn. There's a good pool there of resource. So we've not really had issues at all. I think what I would say is talent is quite rare. And I think salaries at the moment are quite inflated. And I'm not sure it's sustainable. So some people that we've actually had a couple of regretted losses because they've had money thrown at them,
Yeah.
and a lot of money, and probably an unreasonable amount of money. And I do think sustainability of that level of salary is going to be difficult. So I think there will be some casualties on that basis. I think people change their mind. So I think it's a time to be a little bit prudent about the big check, because it might not be a long-term one. As far as Indepth is concerned, we have an internal recruitment team, and they're doing brilliantly well. We pay more than minimum wage. We pay the national living wage, where our customers will allow, and the London living wage, so that we get the choice of the best. People want to work for us because we look after them, and that's the way we've delivered quality to our clients. We may not be the cheapest, but they'll get the best service, and they'll get the same cleaner coming day in, day out, because the people are not chopping and changes for an extra 50 pence an hour. It makes a difference. So I think it's okay at the moment, and I think it's easing from an employer's point of view.
Very good. And what would you say your experiences and your key learnings have been as an employer of people over the years, John?
I think there's a few really. One is trust. If you employ somebody, you have to trust yourself that you've employed the right person for the role, and then you have to trust them to do the role that they've taken on. And if you don't trust, and you start to micromanage, then you're just going to turn people off. So day one, you get a big bucket full of trust, and off you go, and we'll support you, we'll look after you, make sure you've got all the tools to do your job. But basically, we'll trust you to do that job. If you're not achieving what you need to achieve, then we'll be open, we'll talk about it, we'll find a way of getting to where we need to be. Because it's our responsibility as an employer to make sure that we are properly supporting everybody. I think creating an environment where people can thrive. So it's not all about hard slog. It's about having a bit of fun. It's about growing personal value. It's having an environment that is nice to work in, where you're looking at sort of charity work that we do and team building and that sort of thing, that it actually adds significantly to building a culture, to drive that sort of feeling of being part of something. Rather than it's a job that you go to every day, it's more than that. You need to make it more than that. And I think the final one is, don't employ an expert and then tell them how to do their job. Because it's so tempting to think you know everything, but do you know what? You don't. So if you want an expert in logistics, employ an expert in logistics and let them be an expert in logistics. So it's the same with every discipline. As a CEO, you don't have all the answers. So employ a team that have the answers for you, and then you make sure that you're orchestrating it so all the team are lined up and are all doing it in a way that is beneficial to the business effectively.
And very much trust them, as you say, and let them get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Empowerment is one of the keys. If you empower people and you trust people, you get phenomenal performance and very, very significant buy-in to the company's goals. It's as simple as that. The minute you start to micromanage people, it turns them off. They stop making decisions. All decisions go upwards. Your life it's hell. Your life just turns to firefighting, and it's just not a great place to be at all.
Very good. Well, what would you say to your 18-year-old self looking back now, John?
That was a long time ago.
Ditto. Yeah.
What I would say is, look, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be hard work. There's no substitute for putting the time in, putting the hours in, pushing yourself, probably more than you would want. But it's worth it, because it's a great ride to be on. It's not about where you're going to end up. It's about enjoying the journey while you're on it. So work hard, be resilient, drive, push, but enjoy what you're doing now. It's great to have ambition, and it's, you know, it's a real driver for many people. But you kind of, if you're so focused on what's going to happen in 10 years, you're going to miss what's great now.
Yeah.
And the second thing is just read, learn, network, talk to people, talk to old people. I mean, I'm classed as old now, 60. Talk to people that have, you know, been around the block a little bit, because you actually might learn something from them that will save you a lot of heartache later. Learn from other people's mistakes. You know, it's all out there. There's so many podcasts these days. You know, back in my days as a rep on the road, I would have killed for the podcasts that we've got available to us today, because it's just education on stream. So just educate, and educate. It's as simple as that. The more you know, the more power you have, the greater your personal value, and then you'll get to your goals. You'll achieve what you want.
Beautiful advice there, John. Thank you. The final question, I think, is more applicable really to the Indepth business. Which, are there any offers that you'd like to include to the people?
Yeah, we want to grow. We believe that we deliver an exceptional service. We survey our customers and ask them what they think, and we get really good feedback. And some of our clients have been with us for more than 20 years. So that's a testament. What we want to do is we want to start to build some new long-term relationships with new clients. So we are offering a free site survey. So if you have a site that needs to be kept clean, and you want an environment that your team can thrive in, we will come out, we'll do a free site survey, we'll give you a price. If you sign a 12-month contract with us, for us to provide you with your services, we'll give you month 12 free. And if you sign a 24-month contract, we'll give you 3 months free. So that'll be months 8, 16, and 24 will be free of charge. So it's a fairly significant discount. But what we want to do is we want to prove to you that we are the people that are going to create that environment for your people to thrive in. And it's as simple as that. So we're very, very keen, and it's national. You know, it's not just local. Northwest is, you know, we've got very good coverage in the Northwest, but we are a national company. We have coverage everywhere. London is available to us. So wherever you are, we can provide that service.
Thank you for that, John. John, thank you for your insight and your experience and your wisdom today. It's been absolutely wonderful. So I look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you, John.
It's been great, Mark. Thank you for your time. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.